Hey guys, welcome to the Walking Dead After Show here on theStream.tv. I am your host, Sue Castillo, along with the awesome hosts, Timothy, and my other co-host,
Michael's my name.
We forget about you sometimes.
We only spent 6 months together.
Yeah, no, only 6 months. No, like if you saw yourself in the photo, that's why you're on timeout. So yeah, welcome to a new episode of the Walking Dead After Show, guys. This episode, always accountable, and we're just going to immediately jump right into it with Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl's ambush. Like,
they started that episode with a bang.
they needed to.
Little bang. They were like, bang, bang, bang. We were like, whoa, what's happening?
Right, they needed to though, right?
And a little car chase there in
Yeah.
the beginning. I liked it. It was nice to have a change of pace to really get things going right away in the beginning of the episode. It was, with Sasha driving and just like a lot of action, Daryl on the motorcycle. I was actually pretty grateful for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I say the same thing because that just kind of came out of nowhere, and especially when like Daryl was riding the motorcycle and he like turns that corner and it was like boom, bunch of walkers.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my heart leaped because it was just like that's what I kind of expected. Like, oh, I don't know, Daryl, don't get cocky. Like you avoided those bullets all Fast and Furious style, but there's walkers just right around the corner. They bite your face off, you're done.
Yeah.
But then, they get away from who are these people that were ambushing them? And Sasha and Abraham hold it down, like they were able to, take out one of the vehicles, and then the other vehicle tries to, chase after Daryl, and Daryl ends up getting away into the woods, but not the musical. The Charred Forest.
He will be in the second half of that musical.
Ooh, yeah, if there's a sequel of Into the Woods.
Yeah, it was like, that was like the opposite of the Secret Garden. It was just the worst looking place that he could have gone.
Seriously, they had like the last beautiful like heavenly landscape in the last episode with Morgan running through it, and now they've got like this charred
and the sun coming down, and here it was like, everything was burned, and it was like, then we see that walker on the ground with the helmet on, like that E.T. phone home, like E.T. wannabe in the mask.
He's all emaciated. He's like, I can't get up. I'm so weak.
Yeah.
I was surprised that as emaciated as that walker was, the helmet walker was, that he was able to. Have you ever worn a motorcycle helmet?
They're heavy.
Those things are heavy, and he was just like,
It was like he was high almost, like he was just laying there like,
I'm just getting some sun.
Wake me up later with that helmet on. Like, it was just so weird.
Yeah, and so we've got Daryl separated from Abraham and Sasha, and so when Abraham and Sasha were like holding it down, there was that moment that Abraham was like walking towards the vehicle, and Sasha was kind of like, oh, no. Don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think? Would you go and check to make sure the person's dead? Because she was just kind of like, listen, as many bullets we've fired, and what are you doing?
I mean, I would want to make sure, because like Abraham says, and like later on in the episode, loose ends makes his ass itch, which I thought was if you think about it, like all the people that you don't kill kind of come back to haunt you. So I think you should make sure that people are really dead.
Yeah.
You know?
I do agree, and thinking of myself as the masculine man that I am, of course I would go check. Just kidding. I would send Sue to go check. And then I'd be like, everything's good? Okay, I told you. I'd run up behind her and make it look like I solved the problem. I mean, but I do agree, because how many times have we been kind of effed over in the sense of thinking somebody's dead and they're not? So it's like, you really do have to tie up all your loose ends.
Yeah, and so speaking of tying up loose ends, so then we've got Daryl, he's separated from everybody, and Sasha and Abraham making their way, like they have no idea, but I feel like because Sasha and all of them been through this before where they get separated, they have that faith that like, no, don't worry, like, like Sasha had said, she was like, no, what you do with a tracker is you stay put. And he's like, we're not staying here. And she was like, no, you idiot. Like, you can kind of tell Sasha was like,
tracks.
you leave tracks for trackers,
Right.
And they go to that building, and then they see that walker.
Yeah.
And Abraham was like, I got this. And she's like, no, like no part two. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And she writes on the door, which I thought was so smart, because it's like, it was funny because I was watching this with like some friends on Sunday night, and I was like, ooh, that's so smart. She wrote Dixon on the door as opposed to this way or anything.
Or
so
Daryl, or his first name.
because if somebody else
Saw it.
Yeah.
They had no idea, but
Yeah.
if Abraham took out that walker or any walkers laying in their wake, they'd know exactly where they are.
Especially because that group, I mean, like Sasha had said, it obviously was an ambush because, it's not just a group of people just waiting around for somebody to come strolling by, because not many people probably come strolling by.
Yeah.
So
Right.
were they maybe watching them? Maybe they were, I don't know, seeing what they were doing with the walkers and then waiting for them to
Yeah.
ambush them. But in that case, you're right. Sasha has a really good idea of let's not, give them any clues as to where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think after that come to Jesus meeting with Father Gabriel, she's gotten really sharp. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, you know what? I had my conniption fit. I'm fine now.
Yeah.
I'm good. You
Yeah,
know?
and she's really starting to use her head, I think. And that was an
Yes.
awesome, yeah, I agree with that.
And
then-
that miracle bra. She's using her head and that miracle bra. Boy, they were really, she got full support in that group. And then we've got, Daryl, because he's like separated.
Yeah.
He does a smart thing where, he pulls that foliage and stuff and covers
Over
up
his
his
bike.
bike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he runs into 3 new characters that we're introduced to, which is Tina, and I didn't catch the other 2 characters' names. Like, we actually had to look it
we
up.
had IMDb that.
Yeah, we had
We
IMDb
were
that
like,
and
who
to
are
find
these
out what the
people?
other 2 characters' name, because the only person who got called a name by
Was
the other new
Tina.
people were Tina.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the other girl's name was Sherry, and then the other guy, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna call him Bootleg Christian Bale, because that's what he reminded me
He
of.
looked like a Ryan Gosling to me. I don't know. Yeah, like a lanky Ryan Gosling.
You gotta go,
No.
No.
you have, get LASIK.
I don't
Quick.
know.
Like, honestly.
Thank you.
There's something
Don't
wrong.
you
Quick.
say that about I'm a bird, you're a bird? Does not look like Ryan Gosling. No, he looked like Christian Bale out of like The Machinist or The Fighter.
On his way to the Machinist, yeah.
Yeah, on
Getting-
his way
prepping that role.
on his way to becoming a walker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he
Yeah.
meets these 3 new characters who, Christian Bale came, like, he just jumped the gun, literally took Daryl's things and then tied him up.
And
Because
Daryl let him. Let's be clear.
And let's say tied up loosely.
yeah.
Like that was like maybe how I tied my shoes when I was 2. Like it looked like it was real easy to get out of
Wait,
that.
you had laces? I'd imagine you
I think
your
my
little
parents
Velcro
they
things?
tried to
Oh.
challenge me as a young kid, so I'm so intelligent now.
I just had water boots. That's all I had. No, but yeah, it was loosely tied, and you make a great point. Daryl let them, because I was just like, how many knives does Daryl have on him, and how many times did Bale just had his hand on Daryl, kind of pushing him along the way,
Yeah.
and I mean. You get taught this in combatives. I'm like, you could literally turn around your elbow, lock that guy's arm, and like hit him right in the throat.
Yeah.
And Daryl could have done that at any time. Why didn't he? What about these people did Daryl feel like instantaneously, you know what? I see the good.
Well, let's
in
not
you.
forget, Daryl was the only person when Rick and him were having that little disagreement of bringing people back to Alexandria. Maybe he was trying to recruit them. Maybe he saw something in them. I mean, obviously they have strength because they took him. They have resources because they survived this long. It's like all about,
People.
vetting them. And I think that's what he
Yeah.
was doing. I think that's why he allowed himself to get taken, because he wanted to know more about them to see if they could, be part of his group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's
It's not
smart.
a bad
'cause-
theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, like, I do agree. Like, he definitely allowed them to keep putting that gun in his face, and I was like, he's got way more patience. That's crazy. As far as Daryl has come, that he has grown to that much patience with people, because, ooh, Lord, put a gun in my face. It's over. I'm not asking for you, whatever the hell it was you were whittling.
Yeah.
Give me my daggum crossbow. The end. And then
Another thing that I thought was interesting with just the group in general was what they were saying to him when they took him.
yeah.
Like we earned what we took, and like stuff like that. Like, oh, it belongs to us. And I just think it's interesting that it's like, well, where did you? Well, obviously they took the
Who
bag.
raised you? Like,
They obviously took the bag, but I'm like, do they have a connection to like another group? That's like, obviously they found out a group was after them.
yeah.
Because of the stuff that they took.
Yeah.
But who is this group?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Exactly, because they didn't talk like the only other group, you know what I mean? We've got Rick's group, we got the Alexandrians, we had the Wolves, and then we have whoever these people are,
Yeah.
where they came from, and they all have a very different manner of speaking, a different kind of like language. And it was, yeah, you're right, because they were like, we ain't gonna like kneeling and all this stuff. And I was just like, what is this? I feel like somebody rang my doorbell and is trying to like read to me from a pamphlet of some sort. And I'm not buying it. Like, I'm not picking up what you're putting down. But yeah, so what kind of group are they coming from? And I mean, and we're gonna get to that because we eventually, we don't find out what group, but we kind of get a sneak, like a sneak nibble of who they are. And then we have, then we get back to Abraham and Sasha, right? And, just hunkering down,
Still in the
waiting
office.
on Daryl at the office.
The office.
The office.
The taxing office,
Yeah.
which I think is what it was.
That's maybe, yeah. Yeah, it was, because they did say tax
2008
They said 2008 taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's far. That's a long time ago.
That's just like the sign of like the world can go to like a complete zombie apocalypse. So the government's like, the IRS is like, by the way, still do your taxes.
we're
They're
still
due
gonna
at the
keep your
end of the year.
taxes. Yeah.
So we don't care about whatever's going on in the world.
What?
By the way.
Yeah, but here's what kind of taxing office are you going to go to where they put it in those little
The boxes?
boxes?
cardboard boxes.
That's how you file my taxes?
Yeah, it still happens.
Yeah, I think that's
HR block.
Yeah. Absolutely HR block.
That's how you file my taxes, HR. I'm so mad. That's why I locked you in that office with only the dry erase board to keep you company, sir.
Would you have killed that walker or just left him in there though?
Well, I would have done what Sasha did, would leave him in there, because the door was locked.
Yeah.
So the only way through is to break the glass, and I wouldn't want to cause
Any
more
noise
attention.
or, yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you never know what can happen. You never know if Sasha could trip or Abraham could trip or like just a sudden movement of a hand could easily get you bitten.
Yeah.
So why take the risk?
Yeah.
But I think
Just leave
Abraham's
him like a SeaWorld tank.
Yeah, but I think Abraham's whole obsession with getting to this walker was just his obsession with having this control. And they obviously have a conversation about it and address it, of how he jumped out of the car to go get the walkers that veered off in 2 episodes ago. And she's like, oh, you think that you have control by doing that when you really don't.
No.
So she kind of put him in check. But
she
I
did.
mean, we kind of see from Abraham's past why he would want that control, especially after what happened with his family.
Yeah.
Which I'm upset that they didn't kind of touch up on. They didn't have
Well,
a
they kinda-
conversation about that.
They didn't have a conversation, but they kind of did, because when they went in that office building, there was that uniform that was hung up, and
Yeah.
then there
And the
was a
photo.
photo of a military guy and his family. And so I feel like that was like their subtle, not so subtle way of, kind of
Agreed.
hinting at his family. And I think also that was probably, just, jumping the gun here, kind of like what kind of propelled Abraham to just be truthful to Sasha and really say his piece, kind of thing. But so then we flash back, because we'll touch back on Abraham and them, but we flash back to Daryl, and that he finally gets away from Christian Bale and takes off with it. And I thought that was so ridiculous, because they were the ones who had the duffel bag, and they put the crossbow or whatever in it, and Daryl takes off with it. But the guy shot at Daryl, and you could have hit what was in the bag.
And wasting bullets.
And we find out that what's in the bag is insulin. You could have freaking,
Yeah, you're screwing somebody else over.
you're screwing what we find is Tina's insulin
Yeah.
Right.
that you stole from somewhere. And then that brought up, we were talking about this before we went live, where I was just like, yo, what happens when you got a pre-existing condition before the world falls to crap?
But you know what? I blogged about this, about, survival of the fittest. If you have a pre-existing condition and you don't have the medicine, you will die, because you will slow down the group like she did, and you will die. I mean, that's really the kind of the harshness of the situation.
It
It's
would
the
be
truth.
so
Okay, Darwin.
shitty.
I'm sorry.
It would be unbelievably the worst
but like
to
you
die
said-
of a bee sting in a zombie. It's like, so what happened with this guy? Oh, he got stung by a bee. Really? Really? There's 500 walkers around right now. He got stung by a bee
By
and he
one
went
bee,
out.
yeah.
But they run a lot, though. And like you said, if they have asthma or something, they're done. So done.
And that, well, you know what?
Yeah.
And then that reminds me of earlier, in season 1 episodes with the old folks' home. Remember those guys who stayed behind with the people in the old folks' home. They were nurses, they worked there, and they had family members there, that kind of thing, and it reminded me of that. But you know what? Come on, Walking Dead. I know you've got some handy-capable people that will survive the apocalypse.
Some old people who will survive?
Well, anybody, handy-capable, like a person in I really want to see, I don't know, maybe, a new character who's possibly in a wheelchair and just fucking gunning stuff, who knows? I think you could do it.
Like a scooter?
Yeah. I think you could do it. So then Daryl then brings back the insulin, which, would you have done that?
Yeah, I think that you'd have to be kind of heartless, which I'm not saying is impossible in a
because
zombie
there are a lot of
apocalyptic
people who are
world.
heartless.
But do you feel like your answers are a little, like, do you feel like because we saw the episode and we saw what the outcome was that you would do it, or else like in a real world situation where you already had people who put gun in your face several times, you know what I mean? If you go back, there is no guarantee that they're not going to just shoot you because you caused them a little bit of grief.
But I think if you're thinking about it like Rick's group did, they did anything that they needed to do to survive. And, if Daryl's looking at it, he's looking at them, well, they were just trying to survive, you know? And, I mean, I personally would probably go back and give the insulin, I'm just a nice person, you guys.
I agree, yeah. I'm like a Mother Teresa, so
I don't care. No,
Would you, Sue? Would you?
I would.
Okay.
I would, because I'm definitely the type of person who is like you kind of stick, like if you're strong, you have to stand up for the weak kind of thing. And that's what I feel like parts of Rick's group is that they are the strong and they're standing up for the Alexandrians, and then these two people standing up for Tina and getting away from the I don't know, the kneeler group. I don't know what that group is. I just call them kneelers. And then we do get introduced sort of to the group, which we hear their de facto leader's name is Wade.
Yeah.
And
How's that? Wade.
I just thought, well, Wade is not in the comic books.
Okay.
And the reason why I brought up the other group earlier was because I feel like what they were saying to them was, oh, we don't, we earned what we took and stuff like that, is because in the comics, there are several groups that are kind of owned by the Saviors, because whatever they have to give them half. So I think this is kind of an introduction of the Saviors and of this guy named Negan, who they have casted.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I'm kind of really excited about because he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And I want to see his like crazy evil side. But I think this is a really good introduction to, the Saviors in general, because they were kind of given like little hints, little nibbles, like you said.
Little nibblets. Yeah, they did. And then we kind of get only an introduction crotch down of Wade. And then they're kind of hunting those three people down, and Daryl stays and tries to help them with that. And then that guy, I got bit, Wade. I got bit. Like, help me. Like,
and then he said, okay.
That moment, I was like, like I screamed bloody murder when he took that.
Michael was such a punk. He was like, oh.
Yeah.
He acted like it was his arm that got shot.
Yeah, I was like, when you feel, what is that? When you feel what somebody else is feeling?
Empathy. That's what it's called. It's called empathy, Michael.
This sounds like
it's
this would
rare.
require feelings I don't have. So.
I thought you were screaming because you were like, not the watch.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
But then he like took the watch
timeless.
and he's like, here's your watch, and threw the arm. I was like, what is that?
Walk it off.
He's walking off. That was my favorite. Walk it off.
I was just like, is Wade from my family? Like, what is happening? You fine. You walk it off.
Is this my dad at a sports game? We just really dive into here.
I know you're bleeding and you got to stump now. You're fine. Walk it off. Yeah. And then back to that group, they asked Daryl, like, why'd you come back? Because they thought, Christian Bale said it, like, we thought you were part of them. So, and then the thing that it made me like, when he said that was, wait, I thought y'all were from that group. How big is this group?
Yeah.
But like I said, it might be like several different, like several little groups that are just like it's like a tax collector. Like Wade's group are like tax collectors, and they're going to like all these different groups to collect their taxes.
You got federal
and I feel like
state.
they didn't want to pay their taxes. That's why they ran, and that's what's happening right now. I think that's what's going on.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, who else is diabetic that they need to share insulin? So, okay, we're going to have to take a commercial break, and then we'll be right back, and maybe we'll answer that question. Stay tuned. Bye.
See you guys.
Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, this is for you.
I love it. That was freaking oh my god.
I didn't see any of this coming. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah,
I was like,
how did you get here? No.
Like, kill him. Kill him. Definitely kill him. We're cool.
Shade. Shade left and right, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies, let's put your 2 cents in.
Rubbed me the wrong way in the right way.
But you were like, well, we want to know what's going to happen.
That was cute.
We just want to say we love you all. Thank you so much for your support. You are all seriously the best in the world.
Another beautiful summer at theStream.tv, y'all.
Here we go, guys.
Thank you for being here. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Walking Dead After Show.
You're so excited.
I am so excited. Wait, there's 3 people. LOL. All right, so let's get right back into this. Okay, so we've got Abraham and
Sasha.
his little, Abraham and Sasha and his little walkabout. Like he is just, what did he say? Loose ends makes his ass itch.
Yeah.
So he's got to get out of there and go shopping.
Common saying.
Yeah, it's a common saying.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, so Sasha asked him, she was like, do you want to sleep or do you want to take watch? And he's like, no, I'm going to go for a walkabout and I'm going to go shopping. And he does. He comes across a Humvee with some stogies and an RPG walker.
Yep. And,
Who was awesome.
Yeah.
What you doing, bro? Just hanging out.
Yeah, like literally
on the
hanging
pole,
out.
literally just hanging out on the pole.
Hanging. What you doing? Chilling.
I like when he has that moment though where he just sits back with like the stogie and he's like, we just want to stop.
He just had to enjoy
It's
that.
like like a moment where he's like, yeah.
You have to.
I'm gonna take this in.
Yo, you have to do that when you just played a ridiculous bout of Hungry Hippo with like a walker. Like, what was that moment where Abraham was just crawling on the fence trying to get to the RPG? But, you know, I said this the whole time we're watching the episode. I'm like, do these people not have knives on them? Because I'm seeing the knife pouches. But here's Abraham. Just,
Look at that,
I mean, look at this. Like, just knife him in the head and take the RPG, but you know, instead Abraham is just like, oh, I got your hand over here, and the walker's just like, over here.
Come here.
It's like over here. It's just it kept going back and forth.
And then he like screams in his face, and we're like, "What do you?
Yeah.
What?" I mean, I feel like it's because he wanted that RPG so bad, and then he wouldn't let him have it, and it was like that control issue again, where he got so frustrated that he just yelled, and then he had his like stogie and was like, "Oh, I just need to relax, take a breather," and then he like winds up falling, and which is real gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just.
But I kind of did like that moment. It's just like.
And then he's like, "That was easy."
Yeah, and then the look on his,
Right.
then the look on his face of like, yeah, if you just, you know, everything doesn't like not all loose ends. Like you could just let some things go and it will work out.
That's a good point,
Like
yeah.
you don't have to rush things and have it jump to that conclusion yet. It's going to get to that conclusion. So don't do it. And then you get an RPG. That's the lesson, guys.
Yeah.
Just don't rush.
If you're gonna take anything away from this episode, let it be that.
Yeah, let it be. You get an RPG. It rhymes, therefore it's true. So then Abraham comes back and he has this conversation with Sasha, and I had to write this down because, Abraham was like dropping a lot of words that I was just like, what? I don't understand what's happening. It felt like one of those episodes that you need to, because there was a lot of talking and a lot of messages that are in there that you have to watch it over again.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I wrote down was where he said he's got the urge to make some plays, and that he likes the way Sasha calls bullshit. And then she goes, well, what makes you, and then she goes, well, what makes you think? And he was like, and I want to, and I want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, what makes you think I want that? And he goes, a man could tell. He was
spending some G. He was like.
Does anybody think that he was doing anything but putting the moves on Sasha?
He was, and I'm a little offended because I thought he was with Rosita. I mean, maybe they're not official. Dating in LA is like,
but they're in Atlanta.
but
they're in Atlanta.
I meant like just dating in general
Oh,
in
okay.
in this kind of century. It's like, oh no, we're not official. We're just dating. And
Right,
it's like,
and
what
I'm
does
just
that
gonna
mean?
string you along for 3
Exactly,
or 6
yeah. So poor Rosita crying on the damn fence for him, and he's over here trying to mess with Sasha.
That's got to be the worst, because if that's the case, if Abraham really is putting the moves on Sasha, and then Sasha did say, she goes, well, I guess you got some stuff to take care of, and I feel like that's her way of saying, you better tie up your loose ends with Rosita, and then we'll, reconvene. But I kind of feel like that is the worst. Like, have you ever lived with someone and had them break up with you and you still living together? That's what I feel like this after apocalypse, because they live in Alexandria.
Yeah.
So if he cuts ties with Rosita, it's not like she's going to be like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go hang with the saviors. It's not like she has any other options.
It's funny that you bring that up because in the comics, Abraham's with Rosita, and then he cheats on Rosita with Holly. And because Holly plays like a bigger thing in the comics, and then they kind of have like this breaking up thing, but they're all in Alexandria. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's so awkward.
Yeah.
Like it's like dating in high school when you like break up with somebody and it's like you still have to
see
go to
them
math
everywhere.
class
and you're in
together.
homeroom
Right.
together. You're like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
so
hate you.
I
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
feel you.
Okay,
Awkward.
so and then we got Daryl says that he promises safety, and then it looks like him and the group are working together. That he's going to bring them to Alexandria because he asked them the same Rick questions of how many walkers have you killed and how many people have you killed. So now we've got them moving towards kind of like meeting up in Alexandria, and then they steal Daryl's bike
Twice. They got him twice.
Yeah, they juked him twice. They sure did. And then Daryl's like, oh yeah, you're gonna regret this kind of thing.
I love that.
He finds Patty, which then we find out the Patty that Christian Bale and Tina and all them were looking for was a fuel truck. And then he reunites with Abraham and Sasha in the fuel truck because he followed all of Sasha's clues to where they were hiding. And then we wrap up with the end of the episode where we hear radio chatter and we hear help. So let's jump right into our questions, because we have a question that is from our friends over at undeadwalking.com that, it's about who said help. So let's look at that. And this one comes from Andrea Janina, who says, are those members of Negan's gang? Is this the first we see of him? So that's in reference to the group. And you said
I don't think it's Negan's gang. I think that it's a group that Negan is controlling. That's what I think.
A group that Negan is controlling, and so
Yes.
basically Wade is maybe like his lieutenant or
Yeah,
something.
like his right-hand man.
I would love to see a showdown of like all the leaders, you know what I mean? Like Rick, Wade, and Negan showdown, maybe. And then we do have another question. Thanks for that question, Andrea. I think it was great. And then we did have a question about who's the one who said help on the radio.
Yeah.
And
I believe it. If you guys watch with the closed captioning on, which I do because I'm partially deaf, not really, it was Rick. And it sounds like Rick on the walkie to me. He's got like that southern drawl, like that. Carl is a help.
No,
I think it's Rick.
Maybe, okay, you know what? Maybe post-coital Rick, because it was more like, help. It didn't sound like
What do you
Rick.
think it was?
Glenn.
You think it's Glenn?
Everybody in the chat agrees with me. All of the fans around the world agree with me. Just kidding. I just want it so badly to be Glenn. And I think that there is a chance that it is Glenn, minus your closed captioning bullshit. Just kidding.
I like the way you call bullshit, Michael.
Like Timothy has the actual legit proof, and I'm like, no, there's no way.
He's got the closed captioning script and everything, and he's just reading the pages. Yeah.
But I just really, really want it to be Glenn.
I can understand why you would want it to be Glenn.
I just
but
need
it was Rick.
any part of hope in my life.
Sorry,
I need
guys, in the
something
chat,
to hold
it
on
was
to.
Rick.
Well, it's funny because like one of the Twitter followers, Erica Kovacs, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but she was mentioning, she was like, well, who do you think is saying help? And she made she wasn't making the statement of like, well, she thinks it's this person, but she was like, do you think it could have been Carl? And I'm like, I don't remember Carl with the radio when he was in Alexandria.
Because it was Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, and then it was Rick's group, and then who else had a walkie? There was another person.
Glenn had a walkie.
Right.
And another interesting thing, I wanted to bring it up in the chat. Somebody said on their closed captioning, it said a man's voice.
Oh.
So you might have special insider information.
Maybe, because the last time you had closed captioning on Boo Boo, you had it right.
I did.
Because you said Rick was the one saying open the gate, and you were right about that. So my closed captioning didn't say nothing. It was just help. I was like, I'm going to have to guess with everybody else. But you guys, comment, tweet us, message, put a comment in the YouTube section. Tell us what you think. Like, who do you think said help? Do you think
Glenn.
Do you think that this is Wade's group is a part of the Saviors and a part of Negan's group? Do you think maybe in the next episode we're going to find out and actually see Wade's face?
Or
maybe see Wade the waist up. Will we find out anything about Glenn? They're tugging at our heartstrings here, but let us know. Tweet using the hashtag TWDAS. Stay connected, share, subscribe, and keep coming back. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
For more of the Walking Dead After Show,
click that button and subscribe to theStream.tv.